Hi, my name is Jobe. I'm the Poet Laureate for the city of Davis, California, and I've been doing weekly recorded video poetry readings while the pandemic goes on. This week, the poems of the Chinese Confucian poem Du Fu, who lived from 712 to 770, who had a very hard life. Unsuccessful politician, his family had been from nobility but had fallen on harder times by the time his generation came along. His father was somewhat of a successful diplomat but didn't have money. Du Fu had a lot of health problems. He had asthma. It's called like lung congestion in the histories, but people think it's asthma. He had malaria. He later had diabetes. He had a child die. He was friends with Li Po, but the relationship was a little bit one-sided because Li Po was very famous at the time, and Du Fu's poems became more well-known a good ways after he died. I believe he was, let me do the math real quick, I think it was like 58 or 59 when he died. And these poems, like a lot of 8th century Chinese poetry, are very clear, very concise images. There's no obscurity just for the sake of being obscure like we find in a lot of detestable modern poetry. I don't like that. I like the clear images. So let me just jump right into these. This is called Sunset. How beautiful the river is in spring, with sunset filling the window. The garden on the bank is sweet, and so is the smoke of the boatmen. Sparrows squabble in the branches. Insects buzz through my court. Ah, heady, unstrained wine. 1 cup, and 1,000 griefs will vanish. Rising spring waters. The river's up 2 feet overnight. No way these banks can hold it. Near the market there are boats for sale. If I had money, I would buy one and moor it at my gate. Random pleasures, number 1. A dragon sleeps 3 winter months. The old crane longs to fly 1,000 miles. The ancients we admire were as foolish as we are now. I love that. The ancients we admire were as foolish as we are now. Shi Kang died too young, but Kung Ming found one admirer. They are like 2 hillside pines. Their use determines their worth. In winter snow, their trunks impress. But soon, they too will fall. Random pleasures, number 2. Tao Chen withdrew from all the world, but he could not find the way. Way with a capital W. He could not find the way. Reading through his poems now, I find him always complaining. He struggled all his life. His gift did not come early. His sons were wise or foolish. Why should Tao Chen worry? Evening near Serpent River. Evening near Serpent River. Breezes sigh. Rising over bright tiled steps, the round sun sinks below the wall. Wild autumn geese slowly vanish as sunset lengthens all the clouds. Leaves have begun to drop already. Cold flowers lose their fragrance. I add my tears to the river. At slack tide, only the moon is pure. Yanchao City Wall Tower. I came east to pay a son's respects, and now I look out from South Tower. Clouds reach from Taishan to the eastern sea, and a great plain covers Qing and Shu. There was a monument to a tyrant on that peak, and ruins lie where a kind prince ruled a city. I've always valued antiquity. Let others go on home. I will remain alone. Descending the Dragon Gate. I've not looked up Dragon Gate, but it seems to be an opening in the mountains of some kind. descending through Dragon Gate. The river drops from Dragon Gate between walls of naked granite. High winds kick up high waves that have tossed 10,000 years. The pathway veers and winds, blown like a single thread. This shaky bridge is hung from hand-chipped nooks in rock. My eyes float down like falling petals. Misty rain whistles through my hair. My whole life hangs in the balance. One slip, and it's all over. I've heard of other fearsome trails, and some I've had to try. But whatever I think is dangerous, I'll measure against this climb. Another poem about Dragon's Gate, Dragon's Gate Gorge. Dragon's Gate cuts a wide gorge. Trees line the road from the city gate. And the imperial palace is imposing. The temples are silver and gold. The seasons shift. I come and go. The lands and waters roll on. Of all those I met along this road, will I ever meet any again? That's true in life. One day turns into a next. You'll probably see your neighbors again. You'll probably see your family, but you don't really know. All is impermanent, and it's all random. New Year's Eve at the home of Two-Way. Seeing the year end at my brother's home, we sing and toast with pepper wine. The stable is noisy with visitors' horses. Crows abandon trees lit by torches. Tomorrow morning I turn 41. The slanting sunset shadows lengthen. Why should one exercise self-restraint? I may as well stay drunk all the days of my life. I don't personally recommend doing that. I recommend staying awake the days of your life. Looking at Mount Tai. Tai Shan is a holy place, incomparable, reflecting the green of the plains. The home of 1,000 mysteries and more. Dawn and dusk are born here in a moment. Gathering clouds erase the unreal world. Birds sail slowly out of sight. Like Master Kung, I'll climb the summit and watch all the other mountains dwindle. Passing Mr. Sung's old house. Mr. Sung's old house collapses. The pond is full of moss. I wandered here as a boy and was invited to leave a poem. Old neighbors tell me stories now until we lapse, at last, into silence. The old oak looms like an aging general. The old oak looms like an aging general. Wow. Sunset. Winds grieve its trembling leaves. Visiting the monastery. I explored the grounds with monks this evening, and now the night has passed. Heavy silence rises all around us, while late moonlight spills through the forest. The mountain rises almost into heaven. Sleeping in the clouds is cold. A single stroke of the early prayer bell wakes me. Does it waken my soul? I mentioned he knew Li Po. To Li Po on a spring day. There's no poet quite like you, Li Po. You live in my imagination. You sing as sweet as Yue, and still retain Bao's nobility. Under spring skies north of the way, WEI, you wander into the sunset, toward the village of Changdong. Tell me, will we ever meet again? Buy another keg of wine, and argue over prosody and rhyme? Going to the palace with a friend at dawn. The water clock marks dawn. The peach blossoms rosy as wine. Dragons and snakes on banners snap in the warm morning sun. Sparrows and swallows glide on palace breezes. I can smell the palace incense on your sleeve. Poems should drip from your brush like pearls. Who influences the court for more than one generation? Another pheasant feather floats in the palace pool. I like this line, poems should drip from your brush like pearls. It gives you a glimpse into how they wrote these poems. It wasn't with a pencil and paper. There were no typewriters. It was a brush and, large characters. It took a good piece of parchment to write a poem sometimes, I suppose. Taking leave of two officials. At the government office building, wutung trees shade the empty courtyard. Beaten by public office, you finally return home. To stay or leave? Thinking breaks my springtime mood. The palace walls will divide us and clouds will bury the hills. All men long for noble horses, but don't let old age catch you unprepared like it did me. That last line was mine. River Pavilion. I lie out flat on the river pavilion, reciting poems or dreaming. Waters roar by, but my heart grows still. Clouds drift over and my mind responds as lazily. Nothing moves in springtime dusk. Such joy in the secret want of things. How can I retire to my forest home again? To dispel my melancholy, I write another poem. This is called After Rain. At heaven's border, the autumn clouds are thin and driven from the west by 1,000 winds. The world is beautiful at dawn after rain, and the rains won't hurt the farmers. Border willows grow kingfisher green. The hills grow red with mountain pears. A Tartar lament rises from the tower. A single wild goose sails into the void. And let's do just one more. Another one to Lipo. To Lipo on a winter day. Alone in my secluded hut, I think of you all day, Lipo. Whenever I read of friendship, I remember your friendly poems. Harsh winds tatter your old clothes as you search for the wine of endless life. That's a nice line. Harsh winds tatter your old clothes as you search for the wine of endless life. Unable to go with you, I remember only the old hermitage we'd hoped to make a home. Isn't that what the artist searches for in a way? Is a little bit of immortality through art. Harsh winds, he's talking to a poet, Lipo. Harsh winds tatter your old clothes as you search for the wine of endless life. Well, I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you can find the wine of endless life. Try writing. It might work. Stay safe, though. Wear your mask and social distance. This is Job for the City of Davis. Until next time.